The essence of propaganda is repetition. The frequencies of certain assumptions blend into a kind of white noise, with little chance for contrary sounds to be heard or considered. In the United States, the dominant media discourse and standard political rhetoric about the country's military role in the world are like that. Consider the phrase defense spending. We've heard it countless times. It seems natural. And yes, there is an agency called the Department of Defense, until 1947 the War Department, but an agency's official name doesn't make it true. The ubiquitous use of phrases like defense budget and defense spending, virtually always written with a lowercase d, equates U.S. military operations with defense. But there's a very different side of the story. How many times have you heard someone on television or read an article in a big media outlet saying anything like, "Wait a minute, why are we referring to the Pentagon budget as defense spending? In the real world, the United States spends more money on its military than the next 10 countries altogether, and most of those countries are military allies." Or how often have you heard a network anchor mention that the U.S. government currently has 750 military bases operating in foreign countries and territories, compared to no more than 36 for Russia and 5 for China? The author of the landmark book Base Nation, American University professor David Vine, co-wrote a 2021 report pointing out that the United States has at least 3 times as many overseas bases as all other countries combined. The repetition of phrases like defense spending is matched by the omission of such inconvenient facts. When a limited range of information and worldviews is repeated endlessly, that's what dominates the media echo chambers. Meanwhile, the power of omissions, what's hardly ever mentioned, is huge. Protracted silences can be extremely influential. Key themes, rarely challenged, have continually touted U.S. military might as indispensable for the world. Early in his presidency, Joe Biden was ringing a familiar bell when he declared that America was ready to lead the world and sit at the head of the table. The militarism that propels nonstop U.S. warfare is systemic, but the topic of systemic militarism gets little public attention. Ballooning Pentagon budgets are sacrosanct. While there can be heated disagreement about how, where, and when the United States should engage in war, the prerogative of military intervention is scarcely questioned in the mass media. Even when conventional wisdom ends up concluding that a war was unwise, the consequences for journalists who promoted it are essentially nil. Reporters and pundits who enthusiastically supported the Iraq invasion were not impeded in their careers as a result. Many advanced professionally.